Hello, church. I want to greet you at the end of this week with some important news. The bishop and her designated work group announced yesterday the Virginia Annual Conference plans for resuming in-person worship in local United Methodist churches in Virginia. And so let me just say first that it's a lot of information, but it is also good and helpful and detailed information that will ensure that we're all on the same page as local churches. And so we, of course, must follow this plan and all the associated guidelines and protocols. There are strict protocols for churches once they start resuming in-person worship. And this is going to be a 3-stage process that's being used. Stage 1 actually begins next Sunday, but does not apply to our church or to our context. And so we just keep doing what we've been doing. I'm thankful, though, I want to say, for the work of the conference work group, because from the fruit of their work, and if you read through this plan, you can tell that they were intentionally focused on the safety and welfare of all churchgoers. Now, I want to share that our Healthy Church team, that's a new name. Earlier this week and even last week, I mentioned how we formed a re-entry team to begin looking at what returning to the building would look like. We've renamed that team to the Healthy Church team because of the Virginia Conference guidelines. So they had their first meeting yesterday, and they're currently digesting and absorbing and organizing actually all this information from the conference. Now, as a sub-team of the leadership board, the Healthy Church team's purpose is to discern what these guidelines mean for us as crooks, and also to prepare and eventually implement a safe and meaningful return to in-person worship. Now, with all that said, there is still no expected date for the resuming of in-person worship, or groups or activities to gather at the church. Now, I'm fully aware that non-United Methodist churches, some in our area, may start gathering as soon as this Sunday. And I happen to know some of their practices that they're putting in place to keep their worshipers safe. So for them, they're making a choice about what they feel is right for them. We will pray for them and we will wish them well. But we simply are not doing that. And we're not doing it out of choice. And we're also not doing it out of adherence to the conference guidelines. Now, if you want to read through this plan, I should say, there is a brief summary, but then there's also a longer, almost 48-page local church handbook provided. And you can find those on the conference website. That's vaumc.org. But if you're watching this video from our weekly e-news, the link is going to be provided further down. Now, I'm going to also share some more in our e-message early next week, so know that more information is coming. And then, as time goes on, the Healthy Church team will continue to communicate with you all about where they're at in their discernment and in their work. But know that I suspect that we will continue to worship online for some time. I'm hearing from many of you that you are in no rush, out of concern for your wellness, to return to in-person worship. And I do believe that the conference plan addresses this, speaks to it, and assists in these decisions for us. No church is going to be required to resume in-person worship before they feel ready to. But there are certain parameters that prevent us from being able to return to in-person worship until we're in certain stages. Now, like I said, we're going to continue in online worship. For the next 3 Sundays, we continue that partnered with Providence. As I shared earlier in the week, that partnership is going to end in terms of worship, as we do look forward to partnership with them in ministry and fellowship and other activities, and possibly even while we continue to be more online than in person. But for worship purposes, Pastor Lisa and I decided it was time for us to do so that our congregations, and especially our leadership and even our worship teams, could focus more on what it means to have online worship, because we know we're going to still need this even after we return to the sanctuary. Additionally, as we continue to live into this time, we're thinking more about what it means for us to be church. And God calls each of God's churches uniquely into purpose based on their community and their context and who He's placed within the congregation. And so that's part of the reason why we're separating at this time. And so, friends, starting in June, we'll be on our own for online worship. And I am really looking forward to continuing to partner with Philip, and even more so, along with our worship design team, to continue to plan engaging worship experiences. We have some really neat ideas that partly we've already started to implement, and also some that we'll see coming up. And so worship is not going to diminish in any way. If anything, it'll simply continue as it's been, but I also suspect we'll be able to start doing a little more and enhancing it even more in ways that we can engage others, involve others, and hopefully even reach beyond those who currently worship with us. And so keep giving us the feedback. We love hearing what you're experiencing and input, and continue to connect, continue to be engaged both online and off, and caring for one another. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. But for now, friends, be blessed and be well, and I can't wait to see you on Sunday.